Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Shroomies on Hbar, as well as Hashrooms. How you guys doing today?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having us, man. It's been a pleasure and love your podcast, man.
Appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. So today we have the pleasure of speaking with Amarak and Niles. And today, Shroomies is a group of 2,500 Shroomies invading the Hbar ecosystem. Shroomies are a representation of how we all feel inside. Every trade is designed to create a one-of-one art piece that will expand into the Shroom universe. It is officially a sold-out collection, so I just want to say congratulations to selling out that collection. It took not even a whole entire week to sell out that collection, am I correct?
Yeah, man. Luckily we sold it in two different batches, right? The pre-sale tokens and then the actual public and whitelist tokens. So it's been amazing. The support has been awesome. So yeah, we're hyped, man. The artist is hyped up, and the whole team is just very, very thankful.
Definitely. And I just saw actually a legendary Shroomie just sold over 10,000 Hbar. Now that is very impressive for not even being a whole entire week into this release. And so I just have to applaud you for that. I think it's impressive what you guys have provided so far to the space. The build up to this collection releasing has been very strong. You have a quality community backing this project, and I'd love to know more. So what I'd love to start off with is what inspired the creation of Shroomies NFTs?
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. That $10,000, 10,000 Hbar legendary was awesome. There's actually been three of them now at 10,000,
Wow.
so it's been amazing. As far as the inspiration for the whole project, I know Niels came up with the idea of Hashroom. It's basically a peer-to-peer lending protocol, which we'll get to. But he came up with the name Hashroom and then gave it to the artist, which his name is Vipa. As soon as he saw that name, he just quickly said, "I want something with Shroomies." And as an artist, we didn't want to take away from that, and we told him, "Look, there's gonna be a collection attached to this. Definitely go for it. Draw your heart out." And he just went crazy with it. The psychedelic vibes, he really nailed them and stuff like that. So that's where it came from, right? At least Shroomies did.
The funny thing is, we then later changed the Hashroom logo to be a mushroom, because everybody thought that Hashroom had something to do with mushrooms, but it really just means hash as in hash graph and room. It had nothing to do with mushrooms to begin with, but ended up being the case.
It pairs very well, I'll say that, that's for sure. So yeah. I've got another question in regards to mushrooms. I'm assuming that one or maybe both of you have dabbled in mushrooms, and I'd love to know what is your favorite type by chance?
Well, the artist was the main one with that, but I'm not gonna lie, I've dabbled with them for a bit. I've actually used them as microdose. As far as the types and stuff, I'm not really familiar with them crazy as much as you would like to believe it. Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah. I read into the benefits of microdosing, and I've used them from time to time. 30-day spans, and they've actually really have improved with their anxiety and a lot of just dealing with things. But they've helped out, so I can't bash them. So I definitely I'm a fan of them.
Yeah, I'll attest. I mean, I personally have also dabbled in some mushrooms here and there, and I can attest to also, there are a lot of benefits, and we both have seen, states are starting to open up their doors to more regulatory clarity with, mushrooms, specifically psilocybin, to testing to see if there are more benefits for everyday people. And I think that will start to expand more as we see, obviously, marijuana has vastly expanded itself across the states, but that's nice to know that you kind of have that pair within Shroomies and also mushrooms itself. So tell us the difference between Shroomies and Hashrooms, your partner project.
Yeah, so Shroomies is obviously the NFT side of it. It's a whole digital art collection that is going to go into more curating the community as a whole. That's what is the main focus of it, making events for our community, going to the distance to try to help them build connections and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we really wanted to be in the ecosystem and have our own community to be able to network and be able to interact with. So yeah, so Shroomies is fully that whole digital collection. And now they have a partnership with Hashroom, which Niels, if you want to go a little bit more on it.
Yeah. So Hashroom is a peer-to-peer lending protocol, the first ever. on Hedera for NFTs being used as collateral in loans in exchange for Hbar. So you can become a lender on the platform and a borrower, and we don't have really a hand in that trade apart from a small fee, which you can completely reduce by owning 20 Shroomies. And of course, it's gradual between how many you own. And that's really one of the main benefits of the partnership for the Shroomies themselves. And of course, you need a Shroomie to be a lender at this point on the platform. So yeah, the partnership is heavy. That's the aim of the platform. And we sort of went into building it because we felt that it was a key piece of infrastructure that was missing for the NFT market on Hedera. And now that it's quite quiet on the network, we felt it was the perfect time to introduce it ahead of a busy bullish season.
That's amazing. So owning 20 Shroomies, what exactly does that offer you on Hashrooms by chance?
Yeah, so there are fees associated with each loan that you ultimately go to the platform by using it. But you can completely remove all those fees entirely if you hold 20 Shroomies in your wallet. Now, if you hold 10, you're only experiencing half the fees. So between 1 to 20, it gradually removes those fees, and 20 is the maximum, of course, because it's nothing. And yeah, so that is the benefit on Hashrooms that Shroomies have.
Nice. So when lending NFTs to Hashrooms, what do you receive back once you lend your NFTs?
Right. So you place your NFT up as collateral. So you imagine you're taking a loan from the bank, and the bank wants to make sure you have assets that it can seize in case that the loan defaults. And so you can consider your NFT as a house. You put your NFT as collateral in exchange for liquidity. And if you don't pay back your loan by the agreed upon time, that loan then defaults and the NFT is transferred to the lender.
Makes
so
sense.
that's really how the NFTs come into play. And it shows how NFTs as a digital asset can be so powerful moving forward for the entire world. And I think this is an excellent first step. We should be clear, this is not an innovation or an idea that we've invented. These platforms exist, and that they're tested and tried, and many people use them on Ethereum and Solana. And so we just felt that it's something that Hedera deserves and needs to have. So we went ahead and we built it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that Hedera needs and, yes, rightfully does deserve. So I'm assuming now, so say if I were to lend, say, 20 Shroomies, how much Hbar equivalent to those 20 Shroomies would you receive for lending it? Would it be the same amount in Hbar that you mentioned them for, or how does that ratio pan out?
Right. So as a lender, you go on the platform and you can create an offer. And so that offer that offer can be anything you'd like. And you're competing with other offers on the platform. So let's say that the floor price of a dead pixel is 5,000 Hbar. You might set your offer to 3,000. Now, what that means is you are putting up 3,000 Hbar for the loan, where you have around 4% interest back. So the borrower then has to pay that 3,000 back plus interest before the deadline is overreached. Now, if they fail to do that, you then receive their dead pixel. So they are losing more value than they would have done if they simply paid back the loan. But of course, they need the liquidity for that. So that's sort of how that works. Now, you can't put up multiple NFTs in one single offer. These need to be separate offers. But of course, you can submit more offers than one on the platform, and you can go crazy with it if you have that level of liquidity.
Nice. So I'm assuming now you're from what you said, and you made that relationship with Dead Pixels. Are you open up to all Hbar NFTs, or is it specific groups and specific projects to be a part of this lending protocol?
Yeah. So currently we're sort of gatekeeping the platform in a sense.
Sure.
We want to make sure that the projects on them are quality as we see it. And we understand that, of course, we want to achieve a complete level of decentralization. We believe in that. That's why we are proponents of decentralized technology. But at the same time, we want to protect our consumers from falling into traps where they're submitting offers or lending with an NFT that is too volatile, may be at risk in some sense. And so we want to make sure that these NFTs that are on the platform to begin with are at least reliable enough, price-wise and in terms of who's governing them, to be on the platform at this introductory stage.
Yeah, that's your safest bet at the end of the day. You want to make sure quality over quantity, of course. My last question for Hashrooms and Niels at this time would be, how fast is this interest, just snowball in a sense? Is it daily, weekly, or monthly, or is it quarterly? How fast does this interest more or less add up?
Right. So the interest that you're getting depends on the NFT that you're putting your offer in for.
Gotcha.
So, for instance, the Dead Pixels upon release will have a 14-day loan period where you will receive your payment back with interest within those 14 days before the loan defaults. So you can count on that. And so if you were to submit an offer every 14 days on that specific collection, you could count on that return or the Dead Pixels that would be defaulted. So it's, those fees, they do add up, as you say, and we want obviously to grow with the network and make that an as reliable return as possible.
And if I can add to that, just real quick, if I can add to that. Yeah, so out of those 14 days, it seems like every week you'll be 4%. So
Gotcha.
No matter how long it goes, if every 4 weeks you'll be 4%.
So the revenue model here is kind of that interest just adding up over time, and then that's kind of the revenue stream that you're kind of overseeing in a way. Yeah.
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 And
on our side,
go ahead.
On our side, we take a fee of that unless you hold that quantity of Shroomies, as discussed, and there's also a small fee upon receiving the liquidity on the borrower side, which is much smaller, but still ultimately significant when you're making a decision. And so that's how the platform will ultimately be self-sufficient.
Yeah,
amazing.
And it's important to kind of add in there too, is that the reason we, at least for the MVP side of things, is 4% is because we wanted to make it cheaper than having to go and sell it in the secondary, right? Most royalties for Hbar projects, they're from 5% all the way to 10%.
Yep.
So ultimately, this is basically makes it cheaper to be able to just go and take a loan on it than to actually go and sell your NFT that you might not be able to get back.
That's really smart, I think. And another thing that I have to ask is, so is Shroomies the only project that is partnered up with Hashrooms at this moment in time to kind of have these fees completely wiped out if you own 20 Shroomies?
Yeah. At this moment, Hashrooms and Shroomies. So Shroomies is the only ones that are partnered up with Hashroom. As the future might come in and the ecosystem grows, those partnerships might elaborate. The same as like Shroomies partnership. We're hoping that later on we catch other communities inside Hedera network to be able to come in and collaborate in some way and have partnerships. At the end, that's the goal, right? To kind of grow together in a sense.
Definitely. Yeah, growth is key for all projects on Hedera and even outside of Hedera. So back to Shroomies now. You sold out the collection. What's next on this roadmap that you have?
Oh man, yeah, no, we just released an image, which I'll be sending it to you so you can take a look at it. Basically, the good thing is that out of all the min funds that we kind of got, we're gonna get 50%, and we're gonna lock that away, right? And this reason why this is very important for the future is because we know right now we're in a bear market in a sense. Once the bull market comes around, whether that's 3 to 6 months or a year from now, we want to be ready to have that marketing, bullets, the firepower to be able to take Shroomies into the next wave. I know that Beepa is going to be drawing a couple cute little sick pieces to this to kind of keep adding to the collection. There will only be 2,500, but at the end of the day, we want to reward those people holding it, just to, incentive pieces by him, because we really wanted to kind of give our holders more art from Beepa itself. But yeah, so our next goal is to basically locate all our Shroomies holders, see where they're situated, whether that be overseas or in the States, anywhere around, and kind of meet them, right? I know the main thing is curating a community, and we've also kind of always said that. So we want to make sure that we know where everyone's at. We're gonna be going to in LA. I know Hedera is having an event in October.
Yep.
We plan on basically creating something there. Hopefully, partner with a couple other communities to kind of combine them and mingle with everyone, right? To intertwine those communities and keep growing together. So yeah, so we want to do that. I know we'll be hosting something special in Dubai as well. So it's gonna be kind of all over the place because I know not all our holders are within the state. So it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, that's gonna be first season, right? First stage is really just curating that community and getting that all our holders to really believe in the project even more. There's already been about 3 different people that have approached me that they want to start a business around their Shroomies. So that's already kind of strong in a sense, and we're gonna help them with as much as we can, whether that be our legal counsel, any tech that we can build for them and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's where where we're at right now. We're pretty happy with it.
So you're aiming on bridging, this Web3 experience with building relationships here and more or less bridging it to the IRL world and actually physically meeting people face to face.
Yeah, man. I think that's important because at the end of the day, I mean, we've seen different communities from Ethereum and Solana, and the number one thing that really unites them is those experiences. You can talk as much as you can through a mic and through at Web3, we like to call it the whole virtual world.
Yep.
But realistically, man, nothing makes someone stronger than like meeting each other and having those experiences, whether that be a dinner, simple as that, or an event that we can throw for them. I really think that will really unite us in a sense to push us into that next stage of the project.
And think about the purposes, the ultimate purposes of these communities, which is that we are all ultimately advocates of a technology. We believe that this technology should be adopted worldwide for the systems that currently use inferior technology and technology that is centralized. And these communities are organized advocates for a change of that. And I think that we all have our specific identities when it comes to that. And certainly Shroomies has built a very fun and vibrant identity behind it. And, networking and meeting people in real life and seeing, what these communities can build and what we all can do together is crucial. So we really want to focus on that side of Shroomies to make sure that we're doing everything we can on that part.
Yeah, that's a very smart approach. I heard, Amrak, you said something about a legal counsel. You mind diving a little deeper into that? I know you mentioned that there's about 3 people interested in creating brands and businesses around their Shroomie NFTs. How would this legal counsel help these people who are interested in creating businesses around their Shroomies?
Yeah, man. I think it starts with the IP, right? Making sure that they trademark like their ideas and stuff like that. So luckily, we've been lucky enough to have friends and stuff like that are lawyers and also connections through the Ethereum side, since that's where we kind of started. But yeah, it's I think IP, protecting that IP of whatever they're really going after, whatever niche it is. Starting with that, simple as getting them contracts and stuff like that. We got from our Astrolabs company, we have several templates and stuff like that can definitely help them out. So it's like little things like that would cost a lot of money. Help them out with all of that because it's already stuff that we already paid for. So it's might as well do that, and then it'll be a lot cheaper just going and revising it to their specific thing.
So proper guidance and really how to start a business from scratch with the Shroomies NFTs and owning the IP rights to the Shroomies NFTs.
Yeah, man. And it goes a long way, man. Luckily we've had the experience of, starting Astrolabs and going through it. And I think that guidance definitely helps. Obviously I'm not a lawyer, but I can definitely guide them to ours or like any of the ones that we've met along the way that are really specialized in that field.
Nice. So tell me, this is kind of my first time hearing about Astrolabs. You mind going a little more in depth about what it is and what the vision for Astrolabs is like in this future?
Yeah, man. So first we started back in September 2021 when the whole NFT bull run started happening. Everyone was trying to launch their projects and stuff. We were lucky enough to, meet a couple worldwide artists and really kind of took us into that next stage of Astrolabs. We started with smart contracts. Niels was really really fast at learning the whole ERC side of things. He can talk about it in a little bit more about it, but we were able to meet up Trent Shy, which is a world-renowned world animator. You can find his YouTube videos and his animations pretty cool. He works with clay. We helped him launch Clay Friends, which all his NFTs were made completely out of clay, which is really remarkable. He landed a partnership with Photoshop Adobe from that alone. So yeah,
Nice.
it's things like that. We worked with Jasper Wong from FOMOMOFOS. That was also a big win for them. I know that they're working on basically taking over Hawaii with their brand and stuff like that. So it's like through all these times, we've kind of just learned what it is to, I guess, see a project just by helping them develop their smart contracts and stuff like that. But yeah, Niels, if you want to go a little more in depth with your ERCs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So we made a name for ourselves, launching collections for people, which at the moment seems like a fairly trivial thing, but at the time was quite a very sought after, excuse me, and difficult thing to accomplish, especially in a way that was good and had the level of gas efficiency enough to make it affordable. And we were able to, among others who developed the same strategies at the same time, find a way to make it very, very cost efficient. That got incredible feedback and it spread like wildfire. That we were able to produce this, and that way we got a lot of notoriety and started launching projects for a lot of well-known people. Now, after that, of course, we went into a sort of calmer season of Ethereum, a more bearish time where activity wasn't as high for NFT launches, and we had the time and the resources to start developing infrastructure. And we took clients who had the business vision for that infrastructure and partnered with them technologically. Until finally we ended up on Hedera, where we felt that we had the vision to take it forward ourselves on this network and really contribute here.
Well, that's incredible to hear. I mean, you start with an idea and you branch off from that idea, and then at the end of the day, and it's nice to see that you bridged from Ethereum to Hedera, and you found yourself at a much more sustainable. I'd love to call it blockchain, but hashgraph technology. But yeah, I mean, you hear blockchain thrown around everywhere, but in reality, Hedera is completely different than any sort of blockchain technology out there today.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, you notice it. You notice it when engineering on it, how different it is, and it in some ways has its drawbacks. But I think most developers will argue that it's easier to start on Hedera. It's easier to conceptualize, and it's easier to understand. And once you're away with it, it's incredibly powerful.
I think the turning point for myself, at least, was when I minted the other side from Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I had to pay like $2,200 or $2,300 in just gas fees.
$2,200 in just gas fees?
Just gas fees, man. That meant they broke it in. I don't know if it was on purpose or what, bad engineering, but yeah, man, it was. I think that was it. I think I was like, I'm done minting NFTs.
Were you able to at least mint one?
I was able to get two. I got two of them.
You probably made your money back in the long run, but it's just a wow effect. $2,200 just for gas fees. That's quite astronomical.
Yeah, man. Nonetheless, though, it's always an experience and stuff like that. So it's always enjoyable. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what NFTs are, just kind of experiences and, curating events and fun stuff
at the moment.
Gas
nostalgic.
Yeah. A moment you'll never forget, that's for sure. It's kind of, how you were talking about, Niels, with, integration on Hedera and how easy it is to use just the Hashgraph technology for developers. I was actually just on a call yesterday with a Web2 company who's bridging over into ERC20 tokens and ERC20 NFT projects, and they're only focused on Ethereum-based projects and ERC20-based projects. And I mentioned Hedera to them, and they said that they've had one other project interested in their platform before, but they've never considered really looking into it deeper. And whenever I started to kind of pitch the idea of Hedera to them, they started to really open up to the idea of it just because of, it's super sustainable, very, user-friendly, it's very user-friendly for developers also. And that's the big that's the big hurdle you have to really overcome at the end of the day, because if you're spending, $2,200 in gas fees, how is that ever going to be sustainable for any chain at the end of the day? And it's really just going to take a lot of, Hbarbarians and people who support Hedera pushing it out to more Web2 companies and more, real life businesses for more adoption to come back to Hedera. And once we start to see that more, it's really going to change the game and how Hedera is within this whole entire crypto space.
And I think it's inevitable. And I think we've been able to craft well-structured arguments for why consumers should move over to Hedera. And the reasons, I mean, you can count them on your two hands. There's so many good ones. But it's a more difficult conversation for a layman to have with engineers to convince them why they should be building on Hedera. And at the end of the day, what we need is the infrastructure in place to actually compete with the bigger DLTs. And the way you convince them ultimately, especially Web 2 companies, rather than Web 3 companies, is that if you know JavaScript, you're ready to use their API. It really is that simple. As long as you know your ABCs about gas and wallets, you're good to go. You don't have to consider and conceptualize the idea of a smart contract and all of these various EVM style blockchain stuff. And it's very easy to get started with. And I think once we can craft arguments for that, we can start to bring in developers who are very excited to build on it.
One of my favorite arguments is just saying, 10,000 transactions per second and 10 million transactions total. Probably already closer to 11 million than 10. But that
9 to 10 went quick.
Sorry, not million, billion. But
billion,
that alone really just opens a lot of people's eyes to the possibility behind Hedera. And I love seeing their faces react whenever I say those numbers.
Yeah.
It's a big accomplishment to them, man. And
it really is.
I really think that, the more that they go, I think the more eyes they'll catch on. And I really, at least for us, we wanted to situate ourselves for the next bull market, right? And our belief is really that Hedera is going to take one of those top 5 spots. And I think it's going to really crush a lot of the other coins. And not to, bash all of them. I own a lot of different cryptos. But at the end of the day, Hedera has a lot of power behind it. And I think people just need to really know what they're getting themselves into, and they'll definitely dive in deep.
Definitely. I think Hedera and Hbar is a top 10 token within total market volume. And, just overall, once we start to see more volume rising, it'll get there eventually. But besides that, with Shroomies, you have some raffles as part of your utility. You mind dabbling into that a little? Is there any raffles that are in the near future in the pipeline, or is that to be determined?
To be determined for sure, right? Partnerships are going to come along with all that. We're definitely going to be dabbling in Hashrooms platform, as the project to use that. Any of the NFTs that might get defaulted through Shroomies initial put in there, we're definitely going to let, the community grab them and stuff like that for the price that basically we got them from. So I think it's going to benefit a lot of the users since, they'll be able to come in and scoop them up. And we're going to be doing a lot of fun events and stuff like that, especially in real life when we meet a lot of the users. I think that's where it really comes in.
That's a great point you just said. I didn't necessarily think about, the NFTs that do default, utilizing those as potential raffles. I think that's a really genius idea just because, one, it's basically a free NFT that you receive to the wallet because, the person who decided to lend this NFT isn't necessarily being, I guess, they're not adamant about keeping it, therefore they don't deserve it. But I think that's just a really smart approach, just because you'll have all of these NFTs that you accumulate over time, and why not just give them out as raffles to the community back?
Yeah, we feel as long as we're balancing the books on the Shroomies usage of the platform, then why not? We're not greedy. We have a community that we want to see flourish. Why not get some raffles going?
That's great. Yeah. So besides raffles, besides IRL events, what else does Shroomies have in this pipeline?
Yeah, man. Really, we don't want to go too in depth because I'm the type of person that really likes to focus on what's next, especially for our community, right? We want to hype them up on what is in front of them instead of releasing everything at once, where then all of a sudden everyone expects it. But yeah, man, I think the community building is going to be the same thing. I don't know if I've mentioned to you that we're currently working on basically the merch for our pre-sale token holders. And we are going to be creating a whole merch line for the Shroomies, which will be released down the line as well for any Shroomie holder to be able to come in. Depending on how many Shroomies you have, you'll get massive discounts or just a few discounts. But yeah, we're the number one thing. We're talking to three distributors right now to kind of make sure that quality speaks the brand that we really want to come and facilitate, right? One thing I've noticed is that sometimes people just cheap out and get the cheapest merch. But I think that, if you're going to release something, it might as well be the highest quality to reward those members and stuff like that. But yeah, as for events, merch, and really curating experiences, that's where we're at right now with Shroomies.
It's amazing to hear. So in regards to merchandise, obviously you can tell I have my very own.
Yeah.
Are you looking at, just embroidery merchandise, fresh, I guess would be called screen print merchandise, or what type of merchandise are you looking at, and what type of clothing by chance?
Yeah, so we are designing three different types, right? Obviously the printing one, the digital one, just to kind of show it. But I think the embroidery, like you said, I've always been a fan of it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, so I know that those two are the ones that we're for sure going to showcase to our pre-sale holders and let them choose at the end. They're the ones rocking it. We don't want to just tell them, hey, this is what you're getting. We want their input as well.
Sure.
So yeah, so embroidery, I've always been a big fan of it, man. But yeah, that's where we're at least for that. Definitely thick hoodies. That's one thing that really comes to mind. But yeah, man.
That's great to hear. Well, it seems as if there's not too much left that you guys can really tell me. There's a lot in the pipeline, but a lot you guys want to keep behind the curtains. If there's anything else you guys would like to leave out on Shroomies or Hashrooms, now would be the time to do so. But Amrak, Niles, thank you guys both for taking the time to join me on the Alt Kings podcast.
Yeah, man. No, I just want to say thank you for hosting this. And, I really appreciate what you do with the communities, man. And just getting people's, the audience and stuff like that. Your platform is amazing, man. And really just bringing attention to Hedera, more importantly, right? I think that is something that is very useful and very neat. Like, Hedera needs it. You can build the best technology, but if you don't, have people to really bring on to that technology, then there's nothing that can really happen. So, yeah, what you do is important, and really, really appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Shroomies, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to the Shroomies. Of course, we love the Shroomies. And so thank you for having us. It's been great. You've done an excellent job with all the content you've been producing. So we'd like to see you keep at it, and we'll support you, of course.
And one last thing I would like to just let anyone know, if you're watching this, we're aiming to get Hashroom out by June 14, June 17. So, if everybody that's I know there's a lot of people are willing and ready to use it. So, those are the dates. June 14 to June 17, we'll set out the announcement on the exact date, maybe by Friday of this week. So, yeah.
And that is exactly what I was looking for. A little sneak peek, early teaser. Great. Love to have it. Thank you both for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, this has been the Alt Kings podcast, and we will see you all next episode. Peace.